Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for the issues we're about to see today. So, we're going to be doing Marvel Zombies, the first volume, but before we get to that, we're going to be doing um, the Ultimate Fantastic Four, which is actually the first appearance. Now, the Ultimate Fantastic Four is done by Mark Millar and Greg Land. Now, Greg Land is someone very interesting. He uses a lot of reference, and I mean a lot of reference. And um, whether you believe that he's a good artist, it's up to you. I will say this: the way he takes that reference, he really does create beautiful images with it. Whether you want to call him a collage or whatever. So in this story here, our Mark Miller also, some people think he's a good writer, some people don't, but I enjoyed the story, and yeah, the Greg Land is a Photoshop hack, but he's a good Photoshop hack. I mean, what can I say? He does it really well. So, all right, so we're 150 million years, and this dinosaur is here. So, and we're gonna break up these videos in three. So we're gonna do the Ultimate Fantastic Four, which I believe is three issues. Then we're gonna do the first volume of Marvel Zombies, and then the second volume of Marvel Zombies, because both of those were written by Robert Kirkman. So, all right. So the thing says here, read in 2 seconds. Now, remember, this is the Ultimate Fantastic Four, so it's a little different. This is like a newer version of the Fantastic Four. You see the Thing punching this dinosaur, just knocking him into next week here. Um, okay, what's up? He says. Reed says, I said be careful when you're looking for these guys, Ben. Try not to stand on any bugs or plants because even the smallest action can have massive ramifications throughout the time stream. He's like, right as he knocks over this. It's actually quite not true because everything will die here when the meteor hits. So um, your read, it's Johnny. Listen, I've checked 10 miles in every direction, and these guys are definitely not in the Cretaceous period anymore. You think this was just a pit stop? And so here we go, 200 million. It's possible. Their combined weight is 30% more than ours, so maybe they could only reach the dawn of life in two jumps, like an airplane on a trip to China. And then Sue Storm says, it's weird to think we're standing in the exact same place as you guys, but 50 million years earlier. You see that huge rock up ahead, the one that's shaped like a witch's hat? Is that still there? And the thing says, kinda, but it's not so big anymore. I'd say maybe 15, 20 feet tall. How big is it 50 million years ago? And she smiles, over 100 feet. Isn't that amazing? And so here are the people that they're looking for. Spectacular. Now shut the hell up and get the United Nations on that phone. And Reed says, Sue, get back. I want you to confirm what I'm holding in my hands here, and this is like a fishy thing. I want you to tell the Secretary General that unless we get $10 billion delivered to these bank accounts, we're going to shoot the first thing that ever crawled from the sea. And Reed here says, are you out of your mind? You created a break in the evolutionary chain that mankind ceases to exist, you guys included. And he says, who cares? Unless you're rich, life isn't worth living. Anyway, now get on the phone, explain to this idiot what kind of odds we're talking here. So that's awesome. And no funny business. I know you can stretch like a rubber band, and I know the invisible woman can turn invisible. We studied you guys before. We hacked into your files. We know all about you, Mr. Fantastic. And she says, what about my force fields? Have you ever seen one of my force fields before? And he says, no. And she says, "That's because they're invisible, jackass." As she kind of pushes them through, and you can see Reed catching that little creature here, and Reed catches them quickly. Captain America, this is Mr. Fantastic. We've apprehended these computer hackers. They're in the Precambrian era, and we're coming back home. Ben Johnny will pick you up along the way. Just a second, Reed. I want to catch this on camera for my dad. So she's gonna take a picture of that little thing here. And so now arrive here on the present day here. So one of the things you'll start noticing with Greg Land is a lot. You can definitely tell all of this is all reference. Um, he really wants perfection, and that's unfortunate because he really does have a good style. He can draw. He used to draw. It's just he became such a perfectionist that it's just everything is reference. I mean, he just goes and takes, but he puts these things together. Now, that's I don't know. He the guy, you shouldn't rely so much on photo reference. John Byrne definitely doesn't, and it's just a shame because I believe that he he's capable of it. He just chooses not to do it. So, all right. So the Fantastic Four are coming back to present day, and here we got the Ultimates. We got Iron Man and Captain America here, and these guys must be Shield here. So, all right. So here they come. Um, Captain America says, "What the hell's going on? We got a call from the Baxter Building saying there was a temporal emergency at this address. The Fantastic Four were in some kind of trouble." And the Human Torch says, "No trouble at all, Cap. All taken care of. A gang of nerds just hacked into our files and duplicated a time machine. Reed and Sue were working on." And this is what I mean for the photo reference. It just, it's a shame, like I said, but it's still, it, it it's still real pretty how he does it. It's just a shame that he can't just work off his imagination here. Anyway, Johnny continues. Creeps tried to hold the Earth for ransom, but I don't think they realized who they were messing with. If you don't mind if I call you Cap, right? And Captain America says, "Son, I don't care what you call me, okay?" Uh, Sorry. Okay, guys, let's get them back to the Triskelion for questioning. That would be where the Ultimates version of the Avengers Mansion. And you can see the thing here. Oh man, who let the dogs out? And of course, we have all these reporters here. We're just kind of keep going on here. And using big syllables here that confuses them, similar to the other one. This is a much younger version, and it's a shame of, actually not a shame. It's as we all know, that Reed becomes the Maker in the new thing, and it actually is a cool idea. But it's sort of a shame knowing what this leads to or what he will eventually become. But at this time, he was just Reed Richards. The Maker hadn't been created as a concept yet. So, all right. So the Fantastic Four are leaving here, and yeah, you can just see this is all photo reference. But this is, I hope it isn't, but you can definitely tell this dude just uses stuff. So again, we're just gonna keep working on here, and reads, and like he says, okay, I'm enjoying myself a little bit creating all this stuff here. So, all right, and so they're heading into the Baxter Building again. This is the Ultimate Universe, and so. Is it me, or has going public kind of gone into their heads a little, says this guy. Dudes call themselves the Fantastic Four. What do you expect? Well, what? Says Reed. What the hell's going on? I don't know who this guy is. I haven't read these in forever. Some new super gang stole our notes and tried to mess with the time stream, Professor Storm. Okay, so that's Sue and Johnny's dad. But everything's okay. The Ultimates have them now. Things are good. The Ultimates should have dealt with them in the first place, Reed. Why on earth didn't you leave that to the professionals? They're good at their thing. We're good at our thing, says Reed. Right now, the only thing you seem especially good at is endangering the lives of my children. And Sue's like, Dad, for God's sakes. Sue's right, Dad. I'm in after an after school special waiting to happen all by itself. And the dad's just, I'm trying to be reasonable here. Even you must admit that they've been acting completely out of character lately. You almost collapsed the entire reality for those things you brought back from the end zone, and now you're having these adventures in the time stream. That would be the issues prior to this. It's like the accident gave you a taste for being reckless. And Reed kind of just looks down, probably agreeing with him. Look, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to curb your imagination here, but the Baxter Building is funded by a coalition of interests. Our investors are worried, Reed. You're opening them up to a world of lawsuits and falling behind on all the practical assignments you were given. So, you're not a superhero, you're a scientist. Now promise me you haven't done anything else I'll be angry about. Promise me your mind is back on the job. And he's like, absolutely, Professor, I promise. Of course, he's crossing his fingers, which means, he can break the promise. Good, because I don't like being annoyed with you. It's very disagreeable feeling as a scientist go back. Listen, I'm the only one who sees these guys poking a giant maggot with sticks over there. And so we see Reed at the lab. And finally Sue comes in. He's like, hello, Sue. And I love this. I love the pencil or the heart, or chalk or graphite or whatever, but I love that. John Cassidy uses that as well here. So, damn, you're still good for tonight. What do you mean? And the chess game with Professor Hawking, a dinner afterwards. Only 3 of us got invites, Reed. Don't tell me you've forgotten. He's like, oh man, as he really did forget. Are you still working on this end zone stuff? I thought Dad told you to close all those files and put them in storage. And Reed says he did, but I've discovered something amazing here, Sue. It started with a signal from the outer reaches of the zone. Intelligent noise from an alternate reality. Reed, we've been banned from going near the end zone, she says. And Reed continues here. But it's a parallel Earth, Sue. An entire planet almost exactly like ours, except for these tiny little differences. We've actually been communicating with each other. And then he says, you're not going to tell your dad, are you? And she's like, you know something, Reed? At least my dad waited until my mom was dead before he lost himself in his work. And she's leaving here, angry. And so off panel, someone says, first fight? He says, not exactly. Don't worry, my Sue used to storm off like that all the time. She'll be furious for an hour, annoyed for 2 hours, but then sulk for a further 90 to 95 minutes before you just kiss and make up. Trust me, I speak from experience. So, during this time, we all believed that this is the Reed Richards from the main Marvel universe that we read, and we're like, oh my god. During this time, you're like, I can't believe this. They found each other here. And so, the Ultimates Reed says, who's the little boy? And this Reed says, this is frankly my son. We've got a little girl called Valeria too, but she's out shopping with her mother right now. I thought you might get a kick out of seeing the kind of child you and your Sue might have in a few years down the line. If my projections are accurate, say hello, Franklin. And this Franklin says, you look like you could be my daddy's little brother, mister. Wow, it's just mind-blowing to think of Sue and I actually getting together in the future. I mean, I always felt we would, but this is official confirmation, and you can see him smiling. Unless, of course, that's one of the subtle differences between our worlds. I've been reading all those web pages you sent me, and the details are fascinating. Your Avengers are called the Ultimates. Your Baxter building looks completely different. You've got less than 100 superhumans, whereas we've literally got thousands. And our Reed says, you got someone watching over your shoulder all day long and telling you what you should be working on? No, our Fantastic Four is entirely self-financed. And Ultimate Reed says, wish I could say the same, but we're part funded by the government, part funded by some Fortune 500 companies. Meaning we have to think of new defense systems and new things to sell to people when we should be doing all the things you guys are doing. If you're unhappy, why don't you just leave? He asks. And Ultimate Reed says, it's not that I'm unhappy. I love it here. This is the first place I've ever felt really at home. It's just when you get in touch and said you were gathering the smartest minds in the multiverse for this mission you were planning, it's just kind of got me thinking. I want to be a superhero. I've got the powers and got the symbol on my costume. Now, why can't I be a superhero like Spider-Man or Captain America? And this Reed says, I still wish you would keep all this to yourself. You have built a teleporter twice as fast if Professor Storm and his team had given you a hand. We've done okay. Even as a hologram, you've been able to stop me from making the mistakes I'd have made with those blueprints you emailed through. Believe me, Reed, the rest of the gang just wouldn't have understood. And you can see Johnny here. I don't think this is Sue, just another blonde girl that he's out with here. So, and this Reed here says, are you ready for the big jump? And Ultimate Reed says, as ready as I'll ever be. Good. The others are just arriving for this meeting I've called. What do you take in your coffee? And our Reed and the Ultimate Reed says, cream and 4 sugars. And so he shows up just like you, presumably. Man, that felt weird. So he's arriving in their world here. And suddenly he's looking at this going, Reed? So he's walking through, calling out, Reed? Oh my God, what happened? This is horrible. And sees this body, Reed. And this double page spread actually looks pretty kick-ass here. And sees all this here. And here comes the Fantastic Four. And Zombie Reed says, ever get the feeling you've been had? And so this is absolutely awesome. And so we now go into the next issue here. Ultimate Fantastic Four 21 here. And so that one was a variant. This is the actual cover here with Magneto. It's actually Magneto, as I like to say, but because Magneto would actually have 2 E's, and it's called a magnet, so Magnet-O, but And so we see this storm here. They said it all started with a flash in the sky and a ripple through the clouds. Nobody knows what caused this exactly, but some people think it might have been a punch. And so we got New York City. Was he really that strong? Had infection really made him so determined to get here in search of a brand new food supply? At that time, I said no, but having experienced this hunger firsthand, I'm afraid that I now know better. And so you can see here, something crashes into the earth here. And so everybody's going to go check it out. You'll see the Avengers here. The Avengers were the first on the scene. Can you picture them? Faces grave concern for all those human casualties. That idiot Colonel America reassuring everyone that everything would be fine now that the superheroes had arrived. But they didn't know. What they didn't know is that the infection had targeted the superheroes of this dimension and 1,000 realities before us. And you can see the Sentry all zombified. This is how it consumed, you see. And the Sentry bites him, and you can see grabbing Hawkeye, breaking his arm here by infecting superheroes just like him and sending them out to infect the others. Within 24 hours, we consumed the entire planet. One superhero from an infected universe. And so, look at that. That is awesome. That was all it took to finish an entire world. Look at that. A lot of splash pages. This is the era of splash pages. This really started, I mean, it still is. We're still in there. So, but what does this all have to do with me? Says Ultimate Reed. What would you go to all that trouble to lure me here to a neighboring dimension? And the zombie Sue says, listen to him. He hasn't a clue, has he? He really just doesn't get it. And zombie Mr. Fantastic says, what do you think we brought you here, Reed? We just ran out of food. Sue, hold him. Trap him in a force field. And she says, I can't. I'll slice off one of your arms. It doesn't matter. Just. And the thing says, idiots, out of my damn way. And so, after him, Torch, go mess him up. And so, here goes the Torch. And look at this. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Said you came here to be a superhero, Reed. Superheroes don't run away like frightened little girls. Come on, superheroes are supposed to be fearless. And he's like, yeah, right. Somebody's been reading way too many comic books as he's getting out of here. And look at this. This actually is pretty good. Whether he used his imagination finally or found some reference out there, it's actually pretty good. Stupid idiot. How did you fall for this one, genius? And so suddenly you see something, zombie Spider-Man gets here, and Reed screams out his name. He said, you're right, Daredevil, he's enhanced, but he's still clean, uninfected. Where did he come from? How did we miss him? Says, look at all these zombies, Thor and Black Cat, Hellcat, just bunches of them here. And zombie Hercules says, he looks like Reed Richards, but he can't be more than 20 years old. And Luke Cage says, he's a metahuman, all right. Can't you smell him? Can't believe we missed such a healthy specimen running around in Manhattan. And Ultimate Reed is all like, ugh, please. And suddenly there's an explosion there, and oops, sorry. And they all look, and here comes Zombie Hulk. That's actually pretty cool. Hulk knows little men are hungry, but Hulk is the hungriest of all. And he grabs him here, and Reed sort of falls through. Stretchy boy belonged to Hulk now. And look at that. And so suddenly zombie Captain America is like, oh my God, run. Oops. And here comes all these vehicles here. And look at that. It's actually pretty cool. I don't know. You know, some people like him, some people don't. But like I said, I don't mind him that much. And you can tell because of the cover, it's Magneto here. Come with me. I know you're scared, but you have nothing to fear. Right now, I'm the only hope you have alive. And so that is pretty cool. So, back in the Ultimate Universe, Johnny's looking for Reed because the dad's been looking. She says, look at the lab here. And they're like, it's empty. And so this is by the way, not housekeeper. She's actually quite smart. And they all head to the lab here and see a teleporter. And they're like, huh. So, all right, back now to the zombie universe. And Reed's like, how much further, Magneto? Just another few hundred yards. Are you really the last person in the world who hasn't been infected? And he says, no, there are others here too, but I'm the last one with any special gifts until you came along, of course. I fashioned this refuge out of a railway tunnel. It's not perfect by any means, but there's lighting and toilet facilities at a place where we can store food. And the infected don't know you're hiding down here? Asked Reed. Not yet, but they will. The last time they found us, they murdered almost half our little group. The remaining few are really quite resolute that they shan't end up in the bellies of a superhero like our missing friends and loved ones. And so he takes off his helmet here. How long have you been living like this? When did this actually happen? Oh, around 2 days ago, I think, or was it three? It's hard to remember, to be honest, but I believe the first to be infected was 3 days. So in 3 days, all this happened. They're like, what? Don't worry, everyone. It's only me, and I found a friend, and so um, this takes out. He's a superhero. He'll be infected. And Magneto's like, oh, this young man is no more infected than you and I, Kelly. So you can put your gun away. I've told you a million times it's useless against most super people anyway. And Reed says, I'm not really infected, honest. A bunch of them tried to bite me, but none of them actually broke the skin. Reed, I'd like you to meet Danny and Mindy Glidewell. Danny's an insurance salesman. I found him hiding in his car in Lincoln Tunnel. His daughter Mindy is a diabetic, and unfortunately, she's running low on insulin at the moment. So, and she's like, hey, how's it going? So, he asks if he managed to find anything at the hospital. He's like, I bumped into Reed on the way to the hospital, but don't worry, we'll get back out there, and Mindy's met, and everything will be okay. Officer Kelly Ridge, you've already met, and she's like, charmed. Aren't you the leader of the Brotherhood of Mutants? Aren't you supposed to hate normal people? And Magneto says, oh, the irony of this situation is entirely lost upon me. But the end of the world is a great leveler. Beggars can't be choosers when you're down to the last few people alive. And so they ask where he came from and um and what he knows. But anyway, Magneto's like, I'm wondering the same thing. Are you a relative of some kind? Not a relative. In fact, this is going to sound a little weird, but I'm his counterpart from parallel reality. And this world's Fantastic Four kind of tricked me into coming here. And they're like, what? What's he talking about? I don't even know what any of that means. Mindy, please, this is very serious. Are you saying that you opened your gateway from our world to yours and that you've given the infected means of reaching a neighboring city? And then he's like, oh my god, you're right. They gave me those designs so I can make my way here, but there's no reason it couldn't work the other way. We have to get to the Baxter building. We have to stop them from using that bridge I opened up. And Magneto's like, oh my dear Reed, it's much too late. Don't you understand? Your world is already dead. And so here they're like, get back, something's coming through. Reed, is that you? And of course, I love this. Not exactly. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Like I said, it's hard to you may not agree with Greg Land how he here's the next issue here. You may disagree how Greg Land does his stuff, but you I don't know. It's very pretty. So, all right. Ultimate Fantastic Four number 23. And this is the last issue of Ultimate Fantastic Four that we'll be covering before we go into Marvel Zombies. So as I mentioned, we're just going to do these 3 videos, and then we will do all of Marvel Zombies. So, picking up where we left off, great, because things weren't sucky enough, says the Thing. And so, Torch, relax, they're toast. And so, Sue, force field, but you have to get out of here, both of you. I don't know how long I can hold them. And Zombie Sue says, what age are you, little girl? 1920? I've been doing this since you were in kindergarten. This is Charles Atlas up against a 97-pound shrimp. Ben, close the door. And he's like, on it. Says, what the hell's going on here? What is that? I don't know. I'm guessing they came from this parallel universe Reed disappeared to, but I really don't know, Johnny. Call security. Tell them we've activated the lab's defenses. We need a backup fast. And so, Zombie Suits, they're gassing us. Stay together. I'll whip up a force field. That should buy us more time. And Zombie Reed is like, forget about it. We didn't come all this way to be stopped by a stupid door. And Johnny's like, did you see those things? They looked like us. And she's like, except older. And they had something wrong with them. Their skin looked necrotized, like they were carrying some kind of. And Ben is like, guys. And you can see here, what the hell? How's he doing that? That's 5 layers of airtight doors. He just wriggled through. Even the gas can't get through that. So Reed is pushing his well through. And he's like, Flimon, what have you done with Reed, you piece of? And he laughs here. What have you done with Reed, man? And they're gonna try and bird him, and Ben's like, hurry up, this is actually pretty cool. And she's like, easy, I've got him. And he's like, irk. And so and so Johnny goes, what the hell did you do? He's gone soft. Did you do something with his mind, sis? And Sue says, just collapsed his left synapse, brain damaged him. God, that was horrible. I just popped an entire chunk of his brain. You spazzed him, Sue. That's awesome, she says. She's actually quite powerful. The Invisible Woman is. It's just people have found it more creative ways to do this. So the security shows up here and they tell him, don't touch. They got some kind of virus. Same goes for the other three trapped inside the lab. Don't open the door until you're sure they're out cold. And full contamination suits are compulsory for any handling. And Johnny's like, where's Dad? I just passed him 10 minutes ago. The got a phone call and took off outside without even knowing where he was going. Good. In fact, that's perfect because there's no way he'd let us do what we're about to do next. And so now back to the zombie world. And so zombie Wolverine still has his tracking abilities here. So you can see him going sniff, sniff. And so I can't believe you're actually going through with this, Magneto. It's suicide. The second we show our faces out there, the infected are going to be over us like a rash. And Magneto says, just a chance we have to take, Kelly. Young Reed has opened a portal between this world and his home dimension. Our lives mean nothing compared to the lives of the people who'll die if one of these things makes it through. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? Where the hell do you get off saying our lives don't mean nothing? He said, excuse me. My daughter's 15 years old. She's my number one priority. You go play the hero if you really want to, but my first duty is to Mindy, and I'm not trying to risk her life for a bunch of people who are probably already dead. And Mindy's like, what's the alternative to that? Stay locked up in this train station for the rest of our lives? I barely got enough insulin to make it through the night. We're living on a potato chips and diet soda. If this is surviving, I'd rather be dead. And the dad's like, you don't mean that, Mindy. Plus, this teleporter could be our ticket out of here. Did nobody think of that? She says here. And so, it's no use. There must be dozens of them out there, and they've got every route covered. And the guy's like, see, what about a drugstore, Reed? Did you manage to find some insulin? Sure, but they didn't have the mixture you were after, Mindy. I've got some insulatard and a couple of vials of Novorapid, if that's any use. But I've got some testing strips too while I was there. And she says, thanks. Um, and Magneto says, I can't believe we never thought of this. Did you hear what Mindy said? Reaching the Baxter building couldn't just stop the infected getting out. It could give us a chance to get out here. We could take refuge in Reed's dimension. But like you said, they've got the whole place surrounded. And Magneto says, not through the subway system. And even if they are down there, the confined space would make it easier to fight. That's the nearest station to the Baxter building, Kelly. You should know the network. Is it? And suddenly there's like tremors. And here come... Wolverine was right. They're squashed up in here like sardines. So... here they come, and Magneto uses the train here to get rid of them. Move quickly. We've got 3 good escape routes out of this place, and this is nothing we haven't faced before. So, and they come out, and look at this. This is pretty cool. So, when we get to Marvel Zombies, it's drawn by one of my favorite people, but his style is not as clean as Greg Land's. It's Sean Phillips, who works with Ed Brubaker, so it's a little bit different. Um, but I love Sean Phillips. So, and Giant Man says, "I want to eat the girls," and so I'm not going to lie to you. This will be difficult, says Magneto. And he's like, my eyes, my freaking eyes. And they're all like in pain here. They've all gone blind. What did you do, Reed? Is this another one of your powers? And here comes our the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Why do people just assume that Reed's the smartest one? Can he make optic nerves invisible? Um and so she's here. Wait a minute, is this the good Fantastic Four? Nah, we're just here saving your butt because we're extremely evil. And so uh, Johnny Storm burns these guys. Burn a path back to the Baxter building. I can only keep them blinded for a minute or two, she says. And so off they go. And here comes the Hulk. Oh, and he crashes through. Little people not going anywhere. Hulk gonna peel the flesh from their bones. And Magneto's like, don't worry. I've handled this thing a couple of times before. It's surprising they're still in, but and the thing pushes Magneto out of the way. Step aside, dude. I've always wondered if I could take this freak. And bam. I guess that answers the question. So that's pretty cool here. And so now let's stop wasting time and get in here, huh? And he throws this vehicle. Never heard of a door, jackass? Oh man, now I feel stupid. All right, what floor was this on? Floor 57? So, you sure you can carry all 6 of them? Piece of cake. And so here comes Sue using a force field. Now hurry up before the bad guys get here. And look at this as Johnny burns a hole to allow them. And so this lady's Magneto. He says, relax, they're superheroes. He's kind of smiling a little bit. Great, the power's down. Magneto, I need you to generate an alternate electrical supply. How quickly could you set something like this up without blowing the fuses? He says 30 seconds, 60 at the most. But they're outside now, Reed. I can't create a magnetic shield. I can create a magnetic shield, but it won't keep them back for any length of time. Coordinates are set. Everybody, stand close together. Take the jewelry and the equipment. Magneto, what are you doing? Hurry up. I can't. I just realized I need to stay. He's like, what? Somebody has to stay here and destroy the machine, or they'll find a way to follow through. This isn't going to me being brave. I don't want to die any more than you do. I'm the only one with the power to destroy it and stop them from getting a chance to rebuild this damn thing. And the thing is like, this is nuts. There's got to be another way. Untrue, says Magneto. Sometimes things just completely fall apart. Now get out of here while you still have a chance. And Sue says he's right. He's the only one that can. Goodbye, Mindy. Be good. And so all of a sudden, boom. Look at this. That's actually pretty good. And so they arrive here, and they brought in the survivors with them here. And so the rest, I'm just going to stop. I mean, the rest doesn't matter because it's a continuation. This is the mom. So this picks up in the next arc for them, but we're not really going to concentrate with that. So so she shows up here, and then, of course, mom. So, all right. So that is it. Ultimate Fantastic Four 21, 22, and 23, the beginning of the Marvel Zombies, which have a bunch of volumes. So next up, we will be covering all of volume number 1. So like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.